beekeeping. I honestly just got to college and I saw that this club was a thing, and so I was like, oh yeah, I'll try it out. So this is how the hives are set up. These are just sort of like two smaller hives. So you've got on the bottom, that's your base. And usually the hives are kept sort of like up off the ground, so there's plenty of ventilation and airflow from the bottom so the bees aren't getting stifled. Right here you've got your entrance. These are both called like boxes, so those big things are boxes. This is probably the brood box, so the lowest box on there, and usually the biggest box is where the bees will lay their eggs, their brood. These are also called supers, so this is probably the honey super. That's usually the highest, like middle and highest supers, and that's where the honey is.
What would a world look like without bees? Just like an overview.
Just barren, like dead. I'm mostly kidding because there are other pollinators, but bees are a really, really big source of vegetation in general. I think I want to say 80 to 90% of crops in the US are pollinated by bees, where there's like this agreement between a farmer and a beekeeper where the beekeeper will rent out their bees to a farm and the farm will use those bees as pollinators for their crops and produce. So the farmer gets that free pollination and we get extra flowers for our bees. But if those bees weren't there, then those crops aren't gonna get pollinated. So we would lose like all sorts of stuff like avocados and apples and like coffee. I think the majority of fruit and plant-based food would be gone, sadly.
Ready?
Yep.
I've been at beekeeping since 2017, so that's about 5 years. Did it for my Girl Scout Gold Award project, and my family has 2 hives. There are many different ways to make beekeeping a sustainable profession or just sustainable in general. One of the biggest things is to, sell honey, because you get so much honey. Like from my one hive, from my couple frames, I get about like 5 gallons of honey, which is a lot of honey. So you could sell it. I know a lot of people do selling at like farmers market. Also, another good way to have a profession and to like actually get money, get profit, is by renting out your hives. Now this is a thing where beekeepers will rent their full beehives to farmers, like a lot of like almond farmers or just like other fruit farmers to help pollinate the land. So they'll rent their hives and they'll put the hives in the farms, and the bees would just pollinate, and then they'll get flavored honey based upon whatever they pollinate.
There is a lot that you can do to support native bee populations, because the domesticated bees that we have aren't actually native bees and they're not native species, so they kind of rely on us, on the beekeepers, to keep them alive. But native bees kind of don't have anyone looking out for them. So if you want to help native bees survive, you can first of all plant native flowers. So if you look up native flowers to your area they'll bloom from like spring to fall, like early spring, late fall. That's wonderful because that provides more food and foraging for those bees.
Just like anything you could do with the beekeeping community, just get involved. Maybe read some blogs, support beekeepers on like TikTok or like social media sites like Instagram. Just like interact with them, they'll love it.
One thing that you can do to help native bees is you can create little bee homes. A little house for especially carpenter bees out of like a can and like rolled up cardboard, and they'll burrow in there and lay their eggs, and they'll be able to have a safe space that they won't be disturbed in.
I don't know, just like save the bees.